Mhm.
But I could probably give you some exclusive clip to show you some old footage of the game looking like. You have seen a little bit of that, but I don't think we've showed you all of it, so you can lay it out right now, right here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? FullFrontage here. Today, bringing y'all a Clash Mini video, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking to Vlad, aka Frame, the community manager for Clash Mini. Vlad, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you so much, FullFrontage. Long time no see. I think we've spoken last time on the Discord state channel, right? But
Yes.
one-on-one, I don't think we had like a recent video, so good to catch up on the channel.
Yes. No, this is like the first direct interview that we've had without it being a stage channel, which is really cool. So thank you for coming on the channel and doing this.
Right. No worries, man.
Yeah. So for you guys, we are going to be talking about kind of what a general update looks like for Clash Mini, what goes into it, and what's kind of going behind the scenes that you all might not necessarily see. So to get things started, we'll just have a light question to kick things off. How many
Mhm.
people are on the Clash Mini team?
Okay, so this number changes from time to time depending on how heavy the content is and what kind of content we're making.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that right now we are at around 15
Okay.
in total. And again, number can change with like, people helping us out from Helsinki office or San Francisco office, depending on what kind of content or what kind of features we want to develop. So yeah, it kind of goes up and down depending on the situation. But yeah, it's pretty stable in terms of development itself on the numbers. And so yeah, we're still kind of hiring though as well. So
Mm-hmm.
check out Supercell Careers website if you want to find out what we're looking in Shanghai.
I'll leave that link in the description below for anybody who's
Yeah.
interested in that. So you mentioned that people from like different offices will work. What's like the most common needed help when it comes to like you said, depending on the load of the update? Like what position is like most needed when that happens?
There is not like one specific position that we always need,
Mm-hmm.
but it's sometimes like we have a pretty sizable marketing team in San Francisco, for example,
Right.
and these guys have been working on Clash of Clans and Clash Royale for a long time. And so very often we sit down with them, sync up with them, talk to them about things and stuff. So that team is very, very helpful. On Helsinki side of things, we also have development, like a very talented artists
Mm-hmm.
helping us concept things up or make 3D models and stuff like that. So it's like a mixture of various specialties for each office. So it's actually pretty cool to see everybody helping out and kind of joining together and working on Clash Mini from time to time.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear that like members from the Supercell team from different offices are like coming together and help. That's actually
Yeah.
really cool. I've never like even how long I've been like working with Supercell as a creator, I've actually never
Mm-hmm.
heard like the cross collaborate. Like I knew San Francisco was kind of like the marketing branch of Supercell, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people who mainly did the marketing was based out of there. But with the Shanghai studio opening, I didn't actually know that the development team kind of could cross over like that from office to office. That's really cool.
Yeah. And then really like before the pandemic situation and also after pandemic situation, we also had a few um, um, team members, well, like office, Helsinki guys also visiting our office and kind of
Mm-hmm.
doing a mini relocation and staying here for a few months
Oh wow.
and kind of like just sitting up with us at our desks and kind of like helping us out and then giving feedback and play testing the game every day and stuff like that. So it was really, really helpful to kind of have different perspective from different offices as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. So have you been to the Helsinki office?
Not yet. I've been in the company for over a year and I still haven't got the opportunity, but hopefully that will change this year. So let's see. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully.
I haven't seen the new office, so well maybe we'll
Same
be out there
here.
at the same time. Um,
Maybe, hopefully.
that'd be great. So for the next
Yeah.
question, kind of you were talking about like depending on the load of the update. So like, what is the process when planning what will go into like an upcoming update?
Well, I mean, we we always take a look at the player feedback, right? So
Mhm.
one of the primary discussion points when we sit down and think about what kind of feature would come into the next update is, what does the community think about this? Have
Mhm.
they mentioned this already? Are they asking for this? And so, like, can we anticipate the feedback on this feature and how much of an impact it's going to make for the game to get better? And so I am usually the guy that kind of goes through Reddit and Discord and tweets and kind of like tries to find relevant
Mhm.
things to the feature that we're talking about. Um, and so also this goes along with like the existing features that we have in the game as well. So like, if there's clans and we want to improve clans, like what are top 5 or 10 things that people are asking for in the
Mhm.
clans to be added as soon as possible? And so we kind of like analyze that list as well, like kind of our internal feedback, and kind of try to mix these together and make a list for the future update on like what do we want to do for this
Mhm.
feature, or a brand new feature, depending on what we want to do, or what we can do. Sometimes that's the case as well, because we are pretty tied to this kind of like season cadence now.
Mhm.
So we can have pretty restrictive timeline on that front. But it's actually a really good practice for us to kind of like see how far we can push the update each time, and what
Mhm.
kind of features we can squeeze in. But yeah, it's a mix of player feedback and our internal agreement of what makes sense the most for the game, also based on the things that we're seeing in the game and how players behave.
Mhm. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
mentioned bringing community feedback in there. How often are like the community's ideas presented? Is it like just kind of like when a new update drops? Is it like, oh, let's go to the community, see what the feedback is, and try to plan what the next update is? Or are there things that like if you see from like a previous season that like even if it's not relevant to like the next upcoming season, if you see a feature that's like, oh wow, this actually might be really cool, would that come up in like one or two updates down the line and be like, hey, let's revisit this?
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty rare for like a whole brand new feature to come out of the community and be implemented as is. like, like it's not. It probably doesn't work that way, because we have specialists that are like user experience specialists,
Right.
artists, the game designers, people that consider many other things instead of just doing one specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I mean, like a lot of things that community suggests actually does make it into the next update, or next update. We're actually getting pretty good at like aligning on what the next 2 or 3 updates could look like, in
Okay.
terms of the high level feature set. And so like, yeah, we're getting better, and especially that is a very important thing for a brand new Supercell team, because we are starting from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like copying the way Clash Royale or Brawl Stars develops the game. So
Yeah.
and that's one of the massive benefits of the company, is that like we definitely have freedom to figure out how we do things ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and how do we make the game our own, instead of just like copy pasting the way things have been done. And that also goes along with the way we make content for the community as well. So it kind of reflects everything at the same time. But yeah, just to answer back the question that you originally asked, we do very often consider community feedback. And if the idea is really cool, and I really find it compelling, I will screenshot it from Twitter or Discord or Reddit and just post it immediately into the group chat, and we can just discuss it in the thread and just have fun.
Nice. So if you're watching this, your comment or question or anything might have ended up in the
Yeah,
Supercell official channels, and it's been seen by the dev team if they really liked it. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So you kind of mentioned like talking about like different updates and what's planned out. How far are the updates typically planned out? Like I know it's different. It's probably different from like a game that's already global to a game that's in beta.
Yeah.
Like are you just taking it like is the team taking it one update at a time, or they're like do you have like the season 6 update already like started in planning process?
We roughly know the future of each of the game 2 or maybe 3 updates ahead of time. And the reason for that is also because like we actually use the current update to collect feedback from the update after this one. So
Mhm.
basically, like because it takes a long time for players to kind of absorb the season 3 and understand uh, what we've been trying to do and in the heroes and the features, uh, and then collecting all that feedback and then putting it into the backlog and kind of catching up to it properly, that actually takes time.
Mhm.
So it is not, it doesn't work. We can't just like magically snap our fingers and be like, all right, we're going to fix all of your issues in the next update, because by that time it's already a little bit too late for us to start implementing all of those changes.
Right.
So it's kind of like the next update, well, the update after the next one, that you can see some concrete features, improvements, or additions that are coming from the community from the current live game. And so I think that also makes sense
Right.
because it takes time for us to plan out and exactly know how things will be implemented, because it is very rare for us to know, oh yeah, no problem, we just click 3 buttons, problem solved, features done. Like, it doesn't usually work that way.
Yeah.
So there's many moving parts. So yeah, there's plenty of consideration on that front. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you kind of have like new features, things kind of laid out, and then you also make sure to leave some room within like the next update. So like for season 4, you probably have like already the core things like pretty close to being flushed out at this point, because there's like
Yep.
a month and a half left in the current season. But then you also have some time on the back end to get feedback from when that update drops. So like for the season 3 update, and fix some things that are currently in the game that need to be fixed.
Right. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, like, I'm not talking about balance changes. Like, balance changes
Yeah.
will come on June 16th. Like, we know that. Like,
Right.
so like we have mid-season balance changes,
Hmm.
but the major features are already locked in and being tested.
Yeah.
And so like, and one of the things that to note is that we take a while to get things tested properly.
Hmm.
So we leave out a few weeks long period of time for just quality assurance team to do their job,
Yeah.
because it is very hard to find all the bugs, optimize the game as well with the new features, and kind of
Hmm.
like be like, yep, that's it, like everything works just fine. So yeah, we just need to have like a bunch of kind of free like just space for the QA to do their magic.
Right.
And then once that's done, then the game is basically locked in and ready, and the creators get the dev build, and you guys can play around it with it a little bit, and then make your videos, and boom, there you go. Then the update drops. So yeah.
Yeah. So like Vlad said, for those of you who are curious, like the creators, we don't like test the features that go into the game. We just get it like slightly ahead of time to be able to create videos and create the content that you all see and get your feedback from the community. And um, that's actually a really good point to bring up as well, is like looking at kind of like the balances that are coming in, and like a lot of the things that the community likes is they almost play like a scavenger hunt when like the creators are covering new updates, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what changed, like what are the balances, because like a lot of those things like we don't even find out if they're finalized until like 12 hours before the actual update is being published.
Right, and there is a reason for that. Again, testing takes time, and
Mm-hmm.
verifying every single bullet point in those balance changes for the new update takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so that's why like we don't really focus on major balance changes immediately
Mm-hmm.
when the dev build goes out, because there is still some room for us to tweak those numbers.
Yeah.
Though, and those can be like, if we find something really broken, like we are going to fix it before it goes out, and it did happen quite a bit before. So something that like both creators on the dev build
Mm-hmm.
and us as playtesters of our game every day don't really see until we get like a proper quality test. So yeah.
Kind of like a fresh set of eyes on it almost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a little sneak peek into the creator side of it as well. Um,
Yeah.
so let's hop into the next question. How long does it take to create like a new hero or mini from scratch? Like, what's the planning behind it, the art design, and everything like that?
Okay, so it all starts with the game design.
Hmm.
Well, sometimes mostly it starts with game design. I'm not gonna say it always starts with game design. but often starts with game design trying to understand what kind of mechanic, what kind of cool new feature this hero or mini could have,
Mm-hmm.
and then concepting the look of the hero or a mini, and then agreeing on how the mini and hero looks like, and then once we're kind of like happy with the general vibe of the mini and hero and like how original it feels and how exciting it feels to play, well, imagining how exciting it would feel to play,
Mm-hmm.
then we proceed to make 3D models, visual effects, 2D avatars, all that stuff. And I think all in all, like from start to finish, it probably takes around a month
Oh wow.
to like finalize it, let's say. Of course, like there is always polish time.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the visual effects are a little bit too much, if the visual effects are too little, if the 3D model has some weird stuff going on in terms of rendering on the screen and stuff like that, we can fix that. But yeah, if the design is there and we know what we want to do, it is roughly around a month time to produce the final version and playable version inside the game.
So does that usually come into so it's season 4, like if season 4 has a new hero and a new mini,
Mm-hmm.
would that like planning start like after season 3 is released, or do you like kind of plan like a couple seasons ahead?
I mean, the planning part is mostly game design. So if game design wants to have a new mini or hero, and we have a clear need for that, then we would probably, like, fan would probably come up with like a crazy concept at the beginning, and then ask the team, what do we think, and does this
Mm-hmm.
feel exciting and stuff like that, and we would debate it. And then if everybody feels good about it, then we proceed. So yeah, it doesn't, that can vary. So the design can come much earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Like for example, we had a Grand Warden, and like it was actually at some point even playable, but like it just didn't feel good to play. So we kind of basically played it, and we kind of felt like this just is not going to work at its current design. So might as well shelve it and like redo it later. And so there's some examples of that, but now we are in the mode of like really knowing what kind of gameplay we want and need in a game to kind of shake things up.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the Royal Ghost and the Scout, Scout and King being pretty interesting heroes and minis that we kind of wanted to shake up the meta with.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into the next question of like, what's the furthest something has like gone into development and then ended up being shelved or scrapped?
Okay. So I've been in the company only for a year, so there's something to consider around that. I don't know the whole history of the game being built from
Mm-hmm.
scratch, but I do know that the game originally was supposed to be horizontal and to be much more complicated, and the board was much bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so much information on the screen. Um, and I know like that is one of the things that obviously got cut. It's like we wanted to create uh, more easy to read game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, and a game that's kind of easy on the eyes, and like be able to be enjoyed, and the gameplay to be very clear, uh, versus some other games in the genre that are kind of like very messy and very hard to follow, and it becomes very chaotic very quickly
Mm-hmm.
in a few rounds, and at that point there's a lot of things to like worry about and think about. So I think one of the probably a year, I guess, like the game lasted that long in that kind of like super complicated mode until things started being cut and simplified, and the game going into portrait mode,
Mm-hmm.
which is also something that was a big decision for the team as well. So yeah, I think that is a lot of complexities that we had to cut off and that we played with for quite some time. So yeah, I can try and dig up some very old clip of the game. Well, not very old, because again, I've been here for only like a little bit more over a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I could probably give you some exclusive clip to show you some old footage of the game looking like. You have seen a little bit of that, but I don't think we've showed you all of it, so you can lay it out right now, right here, and show it to the people, how the game used to look like and how the game kind of came along, all these months and years later. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and even looking at like some of the old like concept design, I think there was one I remember posting about it a while back. I think you posted it on the Instagram story for Clash Mini.
Yeah.
And it was like when traps were in the game and everything like that. So it's crazy to see like how much the game like even has changed from that long ago. If you're saying that was only like about a year ago, that wasn't at this point that wasn't too long before the game went into beta, because the game went into beta like early November of 2021.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And so yeah, the game evolved very, very quickly at that point, in terms of the art, in terms of the gameplay, in terms of like the overall polish. So yeah, it's come a long way. Um, I will try to dig up some really, really old screenshots to see if somebody has those as well. Yeah.
And this is kind of an off the fly question. You mentioned like the Grand Warden and like you tested it and it just didn't feel right. Would there ever be consideration to like showcase that kind of thing to the community and see like what they would possibly be able to come up with to make it feel like it belongs in the game? Or was it just something that was like the team was really confident that like this just does not work? We're just completely getting rid of it? Or is it like a we'll revisit this when it makes sense type thing?
I don't know. I think this is more of a question for Fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, minis and heroes are generally designed by him,
Right.
and he has a really good eye of like what feels right and what doesn't feel right for the new minis. Um, I mean, I don't think he would be against asking the community what do they feel about it, but I think he would also prefer to have his own take on
Mm-hmm.
the like new version of the hero and mini before we show it to the community.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of an interesting dynamic of like, oh, let us show you the old version of the Grand Warden that we will never use again, and then all of you telling us that it's actually working and it's looking really fun.
True.
It's like it would be a very interesting conversation of like, why are we showing you then if this is something that we kind of scrap? So I think it's something to consider in terms of like, what kind of feedback do we want to get,
Mm-hmm.
and how we can act on it in a meaningful way. Right,
Yeah.
like yeah, sure, like I can show you a bunch of stuff and you could tell me that this was really dumb for us not to put into the game. But what if I
Right.
told you that we've spent like years and months like playing this and just not having fun? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, it's like it's a kind of a different thing. So yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff that's gonna happening all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because one of the things I remember I made a video a while back that was like minis I would like to see inside of Clash Mini,
Yeah,
and it was like the witch, the fisherman, the giant, the bandit, and the headhunter from Clash Clans. And it was really cool
yeah,
to see like the fisherman and witch like come into the game, even though like there were like aspects of it that I felt like were implemented in, and I'm not gonna pat myself on the back because I literally have no idea if any inspiration was took from that. But it's like seeing things like that where like the community can kind of come up with things and have like input into what potentially is already being planned, and then kind of having more eyes on it might bring like kind of like sparks an idea to like the bright mind behind it. um
yeah.
so that's kind of where my head was going with like, oh, like seeing old footage and like getting community input and stuff. Like I think the community also likes to be really involved in that aspect of it as well.
Totally, yeah. Like for example, in the case of Fisherman, he was actually in the game long, 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 long time ago, and he would actually hook like the furthest mini on the board to him or something like that. I don't even know. Like we changed him quite a bit. Like he was hooking the
Hmm.
closest, then the furthest, then like this and that, and then we finally ended up with like uh, the gameplay that we have right now in the game. So yeah, it's a kind of a mix of things. But we do watch those videos, and it's
That's really
very
cool.
inspirational to just see what is kind of like what you wish you could have in the game
Yeah.
eventually.
So I'll be waiting for Headhunter, Bandit, and a Giant to be revisited.
Yes.
And then for the last question, of course, global is on everybody's mind, but I kind of wanted your personal opinion on this, because I did a video where I'll do a TLDR where I was like, I don't think Clash Mini is close to being launched globally, and I would expect it to take like 6 months to a year. Like I think we need a good like 3 or 4 solid updates before we're at the state where the game is ready to go global. But kind of your personal opinion, like what do you think um, the game kind of needs right now to really be pushed towards that global mark?
Um, yeah, I mean, we're not sure yet if this year is the year. To be honest,
Yeah,
we like we feel like the game has ways to go of educating people how the game is played, like how to actually get better at the game. Because to a lot of players, I think still there is this impression that the game is too random and there is no skill in it,
I can
which is
select
not the
my
case.
upgrade. What?
Which is, yeah, again, one of those things that like it's like we just not doing a good job educating people how to actually improve their gameplay. So I think like we have ways to go to like explain how the game is played, how to get better at it, and then take on that competitive side of the game and learn the learn how fun actually it is to deck build and kind of like explore different gameplay and learn like just get used to that kind of gameplay because it's actually pretty fresh and new to a lot of players still. It's a pretty niche genre.
Mhm.
So like and so we really don't have a timeline where we kind of say, oh, this is when we really want to like go global or not.
Right.
We kind of just want to improve the game as much as we can to be the best Clash Mini version possible that we believe can make it to global, and then like make that decision. And I think that is going to be very clear to you guys as creators as well.
Hmm.
Like I feel like as the game progresses from beta uh, and with each update, you should be able to see steps being taken to make the game more friendly towards new players
Hmm.
and more accessible and more kind of rewarding and satisfying and all these kind of things. So it's just a matter of prioritizing because uh, remember that like we're only 15 people team,
Hmm.
and if you split that team into like different specialties and departments, like it's actually a pretty small team considering other game teams that are in the industry,
Yeah.
which are probably sometimes even 10x the our number.
Yeah.
But we have a very clear picture on like what has to be done in terms of like the clans and in terms of the onboarding, in terms of the tutorial, in terms of the uh, raid bosses, in terms of like the PvP, all that stuff. So we can have a very solid game that actually makes sense,
Hmm.
uh, like for everyone, and it's satisfying to be played for a long period of time, which is our goal, right?
Yeah.
Like a Supercell. So yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I've seen this like even being a Supercell creator for the past 5 years ish. Just seeing people always like, why don't you just hire more people? Because like it's always like Supercell has like small teams and things like that. And I feel like the response is like, well, why don't you just hire more people? And like being a creator and like seeing the games from the outside, like when you look at like Supercell's philosophy and like how many games they've killed off to get how many games they've actually released, it's crazy. Like I don't think people realize that Supercell has killed off nearly 20 games and they only have
Yeah.
5 games that are global. And currently 4 that are in beta slash development. Um, at least that publicly 4. Um,
Yeah.
being Everdale, Clash Quest, Clash Mini, and Clash Heroes. So it's like those 4 games, like kind of coming out. Like the game teams are small, but it's kind of the saying. Like for Supercell, I feel like the saying "too many cooks in the kitchen" really applies there because when it's oversaturated with ideas, especially in the game development space, I feel like there's too many things happening and it makes for a lot more confusion with the game's like path to success essentially. And I
Yeah.
feel like like for Brawl Stars, when Brawl Stars first started, it was a very small team and they have since
Right.
expanded their team quite a bit. But I feel like when you're in that early stage and what we're seeing with Clash Mini, because like I even go back and watch some of the first videos I released, is like you can visual like as soon as you see the video, you're like, this is old footage. Like you can just clearly see how different the game is from when it went into soft launch in November to what it is not even a year later.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen does apply, and we kind of try to, like, one of the things that we really like to do is to not work harder but work smarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
and so like we're trying to kind of like do the same amount of work that would be done by, like, each person kind of tries to take on like 10 or 20 people amount of work. Like,
Yep.
like if you guys think that, like, oh man, like, making minutes sure takes like a whole video team and whole crew. Guess what? It's like mostly me, like setting up all the cameras and all the tripods and lights and all that stuff to
Yep.
actually like do all of these things, and then like the editing and all that. But it's like it's not like a massive amount of people behind all of this stuff. And so and that is also very very useful for us, because that's why we can have stage channels with fan talking about balance directly to you as the game designer, as the game lead, about the game itself,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like having a panel of like 20 game designers and all
Yep.
of them having like a different ideas and opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And then like by the time they all agree on one thing, it's been like a few weeks or months on the line.
Yeah.
So we are pretty efficient at, like, agreeing and moving on, and then kind of polishing and iterating as we go, which I really am a huge fan of.
Yeah.
And I did work in a bigger organizations and companies where like there's definitely too many people in like making decisions, and that just takes time, and it becomes less efficient and less kind of like optimized for like end user, like the player, right? Like, trying to like showing them and giving them what they want,
Mm-hmm.
because there's too many opinions on like what the players want, and the community very often gets put back into the back seat, while the driver kind of makes a lot of decisions and then asks the passenger of like, where would you prefer to go,
Right.
which is sometimes a little bit too late sometimes as well. So I do really enjoy this, and that's why I'm sitting on Twitter and just randomly replying to people sometimes as well.
Nice. But yeah, so like the having, like you said, when you have like a panel of like 20 designers, like I can't think of another like game development team that is honestly as open with the community as Supercell.
Yeah, I mean, we try. I mean, I also, like, when I joined Supercell, like I actually never thought to myself, I really need to do the same thing that Brawl Stars and Clash Royale does. And so I really wanted to kind of like create our own little culture of like Clash Mini, and how do we talk to the community and how do we interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I really wanted to keep it open and direct, having the real talks instead of like and ironically the series is called Small Talk, but we want to we want to focus on the things that community may see as controversial and face
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah.
and change it, and all of these things. And like the controversy is not going to stop. We're going to make decisions
Oh
for the
yeah.
future updates that maybe the current players are not going to like, but it has to be done because that is what the new players need, or that is what the different kind of player needs, and stuff like that. So yeah, be on the lookout for the things that you usually would expect to not be into the future updates. And hopefully you will get a dev belt, so you will know what's going on. So yeah.
Nice. So before we wrap up, I have to ask, is there any sort of inside information we can get into like what, as this is like talking about future updates, like what's the plan looking like right now for the next update? If you can share anything.
Uh, I mean, the plan, yeah, as I mentioned. So basically, the plan is to make people better at the game. like, um, I feel like a lot of players are still having quite a bit of a hard time figuring out how to get better at the game,
Hmm.
especially the new players. So those things are very, very important to us.
Hmm.
Kind of like, oh, okay, so this is how I can utilize my minis, and this is what they do, and this is what I should generally avoid to do, and stuff like that. And once we bridge that gap of like, oh, okay, I get it now. Spear Goblin throws a spear in front of me. I should probably not stand in front of that. Like that kind of stuff. It's actually like we need to tackle those things on,
Hmm.
and also reward people from like getting better at the game. And then once we nail that down, I feel like that is going to increase a lot of the kind of accessibility of the game. So that is going to be very important to us moving forward. Uh,
Awesome.
and also like, improving existing systems. We know that raid bosses and clans need a bunch of new features, so we will be adding and sprinkling those on top as we go. So yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of improvements to all the existing systems, just depending on how fast we can develop all of them. But I'm very aware of a lot of the things that you guys have given feedback on, including the creators and the players on Twitter and Discord. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Vlad, thank you so much for coming on the channel and chatting with me today. I definitely appreciate it, and I'm sure the community does as well.
No, thank you so much for the call. It was a pleasure, and we should do this more often, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, if you have any suggestions about what you would like to hear from the team, if you have specific topic in mind,
Yeah.
please let me know down in the comments section below, and we'll see if we can chat about it on the channel and maybe make this like a regular, like once a month-ish type thing, depending on how frequent, or once an update type thing, whatever the community feels is necessary, and can provide the ideas for, or if I come up with anything else, or you do.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, and I'll see the comments on the video and
Yeah.
reply. I'll probably reply as Clash Mini, but don't be surprised, that's me. So no worries.
Awesome. Well, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content, and don't forget to turn that notification bell so you don't miss any more videos. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you later. Peace out.
Cheers.